might get curious about something shiny on their uniform. They might perceive the physical presence as something that's just too much to handle and turn and run exactly the same way that Lyndon Cameron did. So, if you don't know the circumstances of what we are here for, today's protest is about a lot of things, but I would say primarily about the shooting of Lyndon Cameron on September 4th. Go ahead. When I read the story and I heard his mom Golda talk, I couldn't sleep for a week. I would go to bed crying every night, literally, because it was just so heartbreaking to me that this keeps happening. What happened was, he's a 13-year-old boy, all of probably 85 or 90 pounds, and he was shot around 10 o'clock by police. His mom called the people you're supposed to call, the police crisis intervention team. These are people that are expected to be have a little bit better training in terms of behavior and crisis management. She called the right people she was supposed to call when her kiddo was having runs, and they shoot him 7 times. Body cam footage on Monday. Killings in the last 8 years, people have had a disability. If you have a mental illness, you are likely to get shot and killed by police than someone who does not have a mental illness. This epidemic of police brutality is not affecting people equally. We need a better understanding, first of all, of what autism is and what people who are on the spectrum are going through, and we need a better response. So, the law at the state level that governs crisis intervention teams requires only 40 hours of training to become a crisis intervention specialist. 40 hours of training. I've been talking with the police departments. They're actually not even meeting that demand. They're training about 2 to 3 days, and then they might get a 1-hour refresher every couple of years, and they're certifying themselves. So they don't even have experts coming in to train them, right? That's the best they've put forward in terms of managing behavior and crisis. I would argue that we should only need police for things like maybe armed robberies, if we need police at all. I should say that. If we need police at all, the only things we might need them for are just like car chases. We might need them for armed robberies or a hostage situation. But we do not need police roaming our streets. These are ex-military members who are trained, think they're trained in behavior, and they're the ones who are controlling our communities. You can teach anybody gun safety, tactics, response, planning, all of that stuff. We should have behavioral health experts like occupational therapists and social workers and psychologists on the streets responding to calls. If you go through the list, go ahead. If you go to the Salt Lake City Police website, you can look at all of the calls that they've responded to in the last 48 hours. I've been doing that all summer, and a little bit last year, but definitely picked it up this summer. Most of those calls are those unwanted people, is what they call them. Psychic incidents, it's calls that should be responded to by public health professionals. So, without further ado, I just want to say, this is what defund police means. It means that we want police to be there for, military-style situations. If those are the people they're going to hire, they need to be there for those military situations. Those are super few and far between, which means we need to take the money away from those circumstances and funnel them towards public health. The last thing I want to say is if there's anybody out here who has kiddos, if you yourself are on the spectrum, or if you have kiddos who are on the spectrum, and you just want a little bit of help coping with the whole protest atmosphere, definitely come see me before we get marching and chanting and everything, and I can sort of help make sure that we have a more sensory-controlled environment. So, if you have any questions or want to talk to me about anything, come see me. I'll be walking around. I've got my med kit with me, but that's all I got for you. Thank you all so much for being here. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No fucking justice.
No fucking peace.
We will be here until this changes. Thank you all so much.
Are going to advocating for marginalized communities, and it's not led by that marginalized group. Our unintentional harm comes to that community. And so able people that advocate for autistic people, they may mean well, but they often advocate for reforms that don't work for us. So, like with any community, please take the lead or listen to look for autistic advocates in your community. You're saying. So here at University of Utah, like we have the same goals of public reform. We want to see public health take the control in treating addiction and health aiding and community services and aiding in homelessness and mental illness, because all of those intersect with our community with autism. And even still, it doesn't matter if it intersects with autistic people. Like, and the science shows that mass imprisonment is unjust, inhumane, and does not work. And there's like, one of the things the autistic community we face, there's a lot of studies kind of shown that is unknown as we too, like are kind of, are more likely to face drug addiction and homelessness and criminalization even when we're not having a meltdown. There was a neurodiversity individual killed last couple years ago, last year, Elijah McClain. He was just walking, he was wearing a hoodie to come home. And his last words is something all neurodiverse people probably relate with, and he goes, "I am different." We need autistic acceptance, and we need police reform, and we need community services. Thank you, Whitney. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Thank you. All right, next we will have Jeanette from Dismantle speak. Give them a round of applause.